You've lost 92 pounds.
Yeah, man, I'm back in fighting shape, so I'm good.
You look fabulous. It's great to have you here. We have plenty of football acumen coming your way in a moment. And we're going to open today by saying, thank God it's Thursday, because what a slate of sports we have coming up. Let's take a look. Of course, tonight we have the kickoff of week 2 of the NFL schedule with the Bengals and the Browns, and a lot at stake, much more than just in-state bragging rights as both teams look for their first win. Meanwhile, we have game 2 of the NBA's Eastern Conference Finals. Celtics looking to even that up after the Heat's dramatic OT win in game 1. But that's not anywhere near all. Second round of the WNBA playoffs are tonight, featuring the Phoenix Mercury, who won on that buzzer beater on Tuesday. Then there's hockey. Eastern Conference Finals, Game 6. Islanders looking to keep it alive and force a Game 7 as they continue against the Lightning. And there's more. A dozen Major League Baseball games today, including afternoon action between the Twins and the White Sox, who can lock up a playoff berth with a win over Minnesota. They've been the surprise of the season. And saving my favorite for last, the U.S. Open gets underway at Winged Foot. Tiger Woods continuing his quest to catch Jack. Phil Mickelson trying to finish off the career Grand Slam. So a fabulous day in sports, and we begin with this. Bruce Arians has been critical of Tom Brady this week after Brady threw 2 picks and was sacked 3 times in his Bucs debut. Brett Favre, who also changed teams later in his career, questioned Arians' approach on the radio this week.
True or not, I think the last person you want to call out after the first game of the year is Tom Brady. Now, maybe they had a mutual truce going into the game, going into the season. Hey, I'm going to be hard on you. I want the guys to know that we're going to treat you the same, even though technically I'm not. So are you okay with it? If they have that truce, great. If not, I think you're barking up the wrong tree.
So Brett Favre thinks he may be barking up the wrong tree. That's what he said. Yesterday, Arians was asked again about his relationship with Tom Brady. Here's what he said.
Yeah, Tom and I are fine, so I don't really care what other people think. So it's just what he and I think. And, we left the stadium fine. We showed up today fine, so there ain't nothing to talk about.
All right, so he says there's nothing to talk about, but we're going to talk about it anyway. We got Schefter, we got Neek, we got Louis Riddick ready to go this morning. And Schefter, I will start with you. Bruce Arians says nothing to talk about. Brett Favre says he's barking up the wrong tree. What do you say?
Oh, with great respect to Brett Favre, hasn't Tom Brady been through that sort of thing for 20 years in New England? Hasn't he experienced that very same thing with Bill Belichick? I think that he's got enough of a professional relationship with Bruce Arians and enough experience in this game to know what he does and doesn't tolerate, what he can and can't accept. I think it's just part of the game. I don't think that that is something that hurts Brady's feelings. And when I spoke to people around the league who watched the film of Brady's game this week and watched how he played, they felt like he played very well other than that pick 6. If you take away the pick 6, they say he played a pretty flawless game and looked very strong even at the age of 43.
Louis Riddick, let me come to you. What do you think of the way this has gotten off to a start after just one game?
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna kind of like hold off making too many big predictions and or proclamations about how things are going to go down there. Although I will say this: look, it's obvious once you get into game action and you're playing at game speed, things look a lot different. And all of a sudden, you maybe what you once thought was going on when you were in training camp and practicing against your own teammates, maybe may not be the case. Maybe it is the case. You're not quite sure. So I think there were some issues obviously with communication between him and wide receivers at different points in the football game. I don't think Tom's physical ability has deteriorated, or we need to start making any wild, crazy, predictions about him falling off a cliff or anything like that. But there obviously needs to be more time to allow for him to get on the same page, especially with some of the route conversions that the receivers undergo in the middle of plays. And obviously Tom and Mike Evans weren't on the same page a few times. But I think for sure they need to go ahead and get a win under their belt, and they need to get a win under the belt quickly. Otherwise, Greeny, these questions are going to start cropping up more and more. The speculation is going to crop up more and more, especially if Bruce continues to talk about things out in the open, unlike Bill used to. Because then, we're just in uncharted territory then. We know that things weren't like that in New England, and that's what leads to speculation. That's what leads to us questioning what exactly is going on down there.
Dominique, what do you think? When you hear Brett Favre say he's barking up the wrong tree, what goes through your mind?
Well, first of all, I'd like to congratulate Lewis. He did a great job on Monday Night Football the other night. And as it pertains to this question, I think that maybe Brett Favre is doing a little bit of projecting. Because maybe Brett Favre wouldn't react well to that. And when they brought in Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre's, his production went down significantly because I feel like that's a similar situation where they aren't verbally saying that they aren't happy with your performance, but they're definitely sending you a message that they aren't happy with your performance. I think Tom Brady is a different animal, and part of being a head coach is knowing what buttons to push on which players. And I think Bruce Arians knows that Tom Brady can handle this criticism, whether it's public or private. And not only is he communicating with Tom Brady when he does this, I think that Adam and Lou both were kind of alluding to this. He's communicating to the whole team. The whole team sees this. This is not a message for Tom Brady. I don't think he needs to tell Tom Brady that you can play better. This is a message for everybody. It's what Adam started off with. It's letting everybody know that you all need to play better. If you don't, I'm going to call you out.
Now, we'll wait and see if it gets better this week, to the point that Lewis made. They play Carolina this week. That's a game everyone will expect them to win. If it doesn't go well, the conversation might get a little bit louder. Sort of the way it is right now in Philadelphia. Let me take you there because Carson Wentz is facing increased scrutiny after his performance Sunday in Washington when the Eagles blew a 17-point lead. Wentz was sacked a career-high 8 times. And all the conversation is about his tendency of holding onto the football when pressured rather than throwing it away. Here's Carson himself.
I'm pretty aware of it. You know, every case, every specific play is very specific. It's really case by case, and there's a time and a place to fight. There's a time and a place to throw it away. There's a time and a place to just eat it and take the sack.
So that strikes me as a fascinating question as D. Wood jumps into the conversation as well, because holding onto the football too long can be dangerous. But Dominique Foxworth, let me ask you this. What does holding onto the football too long plus Aaron Donald see this weekend?
Injuries? Trips to the hospital? Like Aaron Donald, look at this monster. Look at that. That is terrifying. And speaking of terrifying, I think there is some value to having a little fear. I think Carson Wentz has been great in part because he is fearless. But you need a little fear in the NFL. When that man, did you see that? When that man's coming for you, it is reasonable to be a little scared and to throw the ball away. Carson Wentz had no throwaways in last week's game against a very impressive defensive line. So I want Carson Wentz to stay Carson Wentz and make the magic that he makes. But in certain situations, it's all right to be a little scared and get that thing out of your hands.
Yeah, because, again, he went up against that Washington D-line, which has the 5 first-round picks. Now he gets that wrecking ball. 2 questions for you, Damian Woody. First of all, I was watching your face as we were watching that film. Cindy, roll it again. D. Wood, just explain, as an offensive lineman, what are we seeing in Aaron Donald as we watch this again?
We're seeing someone made in the lab, a cyborg or something. Like, this is one man is not supposed to be able to throw another grown man around like this. I mean, look at this. These are pins, bowling ball pins going everywhere. And he took Zeke with one hand and threw him in the chest of Dak Prescott. Greeny, this is pro football. It's not supposed to happen. And now, this is what Carson Wentz has to face this week?
Right.
Good luck. I'm glad I'm sitting in studio because I wouldn't want to see that.
Well, we'd have to put all those 92 pounds back on you to have any chance. But seriously, what are you saying? What should someone be saying? What should Carson Wentz be saying to himself after what we saw last week and the expectation going forward?
Well, granted, they have a couple injuries on the offensive line. They got a couple guys that are out for the year. So Carson Wentz has to know, listen, the time in my head has to speed up. I can't hold on to the ball because he's facing some really